What's going on, my friends? Welcome along to the coverage area, the feature match area here for our round 12 coverage of GP Detroit, the format Team Unified Modern. And look at this. A man whose name is so big. We promised people big names, Eduardo, in the feature match area. We promised the people the biggest of names. And one of the names so big, can't even fit it on the screen, Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa and his team of Matt Nass and Sam Pardee, facing off against Eric English, Christian Baker and Nick D'Ambrose. And these guys, all of them, at 10-1.
Yeah, I mean, it's about as good as it gets in these tournaments. They really only need 2 wins out of the next 2 rounds. They're in an excellent position to make top 4. And D'Ambrose's team with a really interesting take here. That snow-covered plains isn't symbolizing Martyr of Sands. It's Eldrazi and Taxes, but a really interesting take with 4 copies of Simian Spirit Guide.
Yeah, we had the chance to chat about this deck earlier. The fact that it is looking to play huge cards like Chalice of the Void on turn number 1 is really going to put a damper on things, especially in in a format that is so heavily dominated by decks that are very low to the ground. You know, with a lot of 1-drops, a lot of 2-drops, what have you. But the 1-drops especially is what's on the radar of those Chalice decks.
I mean, he even plays Gemstone Caverns, more Simian Spirit Guides.
Oh my goodness! Just wants to.
It's fair because the deck almost doesn't play 1-mana plays. They play 4 Dismembers exactly because they want to have as many plays on turn 1 as possible while not being shut down by their own Chalice. I also like the addition of 4 Horizon Canopies in the deck. They stick mono white so they can play one of the best lands in Modern.
So Pardee, Bloodghast on turn 2, joined by a Gurmag Angler as well, so he's really building quite a considerable battlefield here. D'Ambrose is going to have his work cut out for him. Of course, as you say, a lack of 1-drops means Path to Exile not necessarily an option, but this may come a little too late. Thalia, the Guardian of Thraben, gets a lot of really good work done against a lot of the format, but here, I don't know, man, she doesn't seem to be at her best.
Well, Thalia usually has issues with being on the draw, especially without the acceleration of a Guide or a Gemstone Caverns. So here, I think the combination of Nick D'Ambrose being on the draw and not having access to Gemstone Caverns or Simian Spirit Guide means that he's falling way too far behind, and he wasn't really going to be able to catch up. Nick had Nick had access to Dismember, it would have been fired off on Gurmag Angler end of turn. And Dismember is a card that gets worse as a top deck. To start with, it's fine because you do trading for the Fret. Essentially, I mean, you lose life, but you've traded for the Fret, so you're not losing additional life. But say 5 from the Gurmag Angler, plus all this damage coming in from Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix. If Nick top deck Dismember, for example, you'd go to 11, then 7, and then these recursive Frets, Nick does not have an answer for. I mean, yeah, you see the Dismember top deck. Nick probably having to fire it off on Gurmag Angler, but this is a lot of damage from Bloodghast and Flamewake Phoenix, and without access to Path to Exile, as you mentioned, it's going to be hard to deal with those. Yeah,
Pardee really piling on the pressure here. We'll see what D'Ambrose's next move is. Looks like 2-mana play, and it's going to be another Guardian of Thraben here as Thalia comes down once again. Can hold off the Bloodghast very tidily, although that Flamewake Phoenix is going to continue to pose a problem here for D'Ambrose, who certainly on the back foot. 2 more damage coming across, going to clip him down to 5. And another massive delve threat with the Banana King coming down, Tasker the Golden Fang.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, yeah, Thought-Knot Seer is probably... I think I saw Lightning Bolt in Sam's hand, so he didn't bolt the Thalia Guardian of Thraben. Essentially, well, I can kill my opponent next turn by attacking with 2 for 2 and then free.
Playing for the board instead of looking to disrupt here. 3 mana. Let's see what is next on the agenda for Pardee. Just going to be that Goblin Lore. Draw 4, discard 3, of course.
It's a very confusing book.
Yeah, it's written upside down, backwards. Got Leonardo da Vinci mirror writing in it.
I mean, that would have at least a pattern.
Yeah, no, this is insane. Sort of, spaghetti-like scribblings here. The goblins aren't known for their literacy programs.
Every book is different.
Every book is different. That's very true, But I think this is a book that we can safely judge by its cover. It's not a great one. Let's move in now to attack, says Sam Pardee. The Banana King looks like his short reign has come to an end. The King is dead. Long live the King. Thalia sticks around. Bloodghast, Flamewake Phoenix get D'Ambrose down to 1. Pardee now, with any number of plays that he could make that would close this one out. Hollow One's a nice one as well. D'Ambrose says, yeah, you know what, my friend, you got it. You absolutely have got it. I cannot beat this this draw that you've had, and as a result, we're going to go to game number 2. But, my friends, the party don't stop. Let's move over now to Paulo Vitor Dama de Rosa and Eric English. English on KCI here. And Paulo Vitor, The rest of his team as well here, Nas and Putty, they have adopted that classic 3-deck combination. They've got a Noble Hierarch deck, an Ancient Stirrings deck, and a free roll, just kind of, the old wild card, the old Jokerino there. But interestingly, Dama Rosa has broken the trend. He's bucked the trend here by playing spirits rather than humans.
Right, and this banned spirits, and blue-white spirits to some degree too, those two decks have kind of risen recently with the printing of Supreme Phantom kind of taking them up to tier 1. And I think they're a really powerful option that has been understated because, in Modern things move at a certain pace, and that pace isn't instantaneous. So new decks take a little bit of time for adoption, but I think Spirits, you will see that deck become a really key part of the metagame.
Crocline Ironworks the play now for Eric English.
I mean, Paolo would love to slam a Spell Queller here.
Oh, yeah, that'd be perfect. I can see that Dama Rosa has a copy of Phantasmal Image in hand, which opens up a really interesting option for him. As we see now, it looks like this will be a Spell Queller after all. Great play from him. So next turn, what we can see is the old mate Phantasmal Image copying the Drogskull Captain and giving everything hexproof.
Yeah, that interaction's great.
It's so huge.
Right.
Double Captain means that all spot removal is effectively useless.
Yeah, and I'm actually, Riley might have seen me move my fingers, but I'm actually counting up damage here. Spell Queller 4, Supreme Phantom 2, Darkskull Captain free, so we're looking at, let's see, 9 damage. If we Phantasmal Image a Captain, that's 12, so we're just 1 off lethal damage, I believe, here.
Well, if Dama Rosa can find any other way, I mean, the Bant colors not necessarily known for their reach,
Well, I mean, the actual ability reach, maybe.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
But
Primary
we fly
and green.
here. We fly here. It's much better.
Yep. But not known for its ability to deal direct damage. How are you going to split that hair, Eduardo?
I mean, they're kind of just around and threatening you, right? That's what ghosts do.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, no, these are spooky boys. Cycle away this Horizon Canopy.
Yeah, Paolo's sacrificing, drawing the card here since very likely to play Image and probably just didn't have access to another play. But if Paolo had, like, say, a land and a Spell Queller, you wouldn't play Image here. You would definitely just play the land pass with Spell Queller up.
Well, let's see what his next move is now. It is going to be Phantasmal Image. Drogskull Captain looks to be the beneficiary of this, or the patron, I should say, of this new image. And a great piece of synergy as well between these two cards because, of course, one giving the other hexproof means that the downside on Phantasmal Image is basically completely negligible. Yeah.
Yes. I would say that here, Paolo's is suffering from the fact that Aether Vial was at 1. An Aether Vial on 2 would have meant that Paolo had access to Phantasmal Image, copying Spell Queller, and probably locking Eric English out of the game. Here, Eric is definitely going to take lethal damage next turn. No way to deal with the board. So Eric has to find a way to combo off this turn. But as funny as it may sound, Eric is actually, even with 6 lands, I would say Eric is a little low on mana since all the options to draw cards are so expensive. So Eric here going to sacrifice the Pirate Spellbind as the cheapest option, hoping to top deck a Clarkline Ironworks here.
But I mean, what can he find, really? What is the way forward in the face of this enormous army?
So Ironworks or Ancient Stirrings into Ironworks. However, with Chromatic Sphere being drawn, that kind of takes Ancient Stirrings out as an option, since I don't believe Eric has access to more mana. So really here we need straight up Ironworks, I believe.
Off the top, Eric English. Can he find what he needs? Doesn't look like he can. Dama Rosa edging further and further towards a win here.
Yeah, and this game is a classic example of the power of disruption backed by a clock. I mean, a counter spell from Jeskai, the Ironworks deck would have had time to cycle through cards, try to get to that Ironworks. But here, with Eric at 1 and facing way more than lethal damage here, there's nothing that. That's the power of these spirit decks. The same as humans, disrupt and be aggressive.
But this is how you beat fast combo. This is the classic 1-2 punch that beats fast combo decks, a clock plus disruption. Disruption plus pressure is how you win these games. And humans and spirits are these very, very aggressive creature-based decks that still play a disruptive game. And as a result, Polovita Dama Rosa takes out this game very handily. Didn't look to be in too much trouble. But this is these new tribal-based decks, Eduardo, have kind of ushered in a new era of disruptive decks that are still applying a ton of pressure with their creatures.
Exactly. Now the thing with the Spirit deck is Spell Queller is really the best disruption you have, while Humans has Freebooter and Meddling Mage. So Humans a little more disruptive, but the Spirit deck can play on the board a little more.
Let's move over now and have a look at Christian Baker against Matt Nass. Matt Nass, one of the most successful GP players.
Oh, this is going to be fun.
And
this is going to be really fun.
All right,
here.
talk us through this here.
All right, so with Animation Module, you steal Overseer, that adds a counter, so you get to make a 1/1. With Phronogef, you get to proliferate by sacrificing an artifact. By doing so, you add a counter. So when that happens, you get to make more servos. And then next turn, with all the servos and Steel Overseer, you get to, essentially add another counter, which means that for each servo, each creature in play, you can make a servo for each mana you have. So it just keeps going on and on and on. Not really the matchup where it's at its best, since Storm usually doesn't really care about the board in game one, but it's kind of fun to watch the deck go off because against a board-centric opponent, this can get really fast out of hand.
Oh, yeah. I'm interested to see the fact that the Thrones have been brought in against Storm. An orthodox choice.
It's game one. They have to.
So this is played in the main deck?
Yeah, they played 2 in the main deck, yeah.
I haven't seen that before.
The deck usually played 4 before, but it's not a card you want to draw multiples of.
Throne of Geth?
Yeah.
It wasn't in Laurie Pispa's GP winning list.
I think this was like when the deck was like initially announced, like back when it was in the Magic Online leagues.
Yeah, so this is old school, kicking it old school here with the double Thrones. All right.
Old school earlier in the year.
Yeah.
But yeah, the deck has seen evolution, and the Throne of Geths have been cut a bit because they're just not the most optimal card in the deck. You'd rather maximize on those creatures. And to give you an idea, Animation Module is one of those cards that came in because Throne of Geth got cut.
Yep.
Obviously, the synergy between the two being quite fun. I mean, this is very enjoyable.
Well, we're gonna see another activation of the Throne of Geth here. And that, wouldn't it be better to activate the Steel Overseer first? I mean, I'm not Matt Nass. I haven't got 100 million GP top 8s or wins this year, but still.
You can in response to the Proliferate trigger. So here, Matt is fully in mana. In response to the Proliferate trigger, you can put counters on creatures. Doesn't look like that was the case, though.
Nope. Okay. All right. Instead, he's going to just build up this army of servos. I guess he wants to put +1/+1 counters on these new servo tokens as well. Yeah. That makes sense. All right. Look, it's Matt Nass. He's playing in a GP with an Ancient Stirrings deck. The man can do no wrong. So here now comes the +1/+1 counters, thanks to all of these little servo boys.
We make 2 more. And then the other Throne of Geth can sacrifice one of these servos, and we keep just going and going.
Going off.
The thing is, it may not look like, you're facing against an opponent that has nothing, but Matt Nass is in actual trouble if Christian Baker has access to anything here, since Christian, once he goes off, will just win the game. I think Matt is just trying to do his best to present a 2-turn clock, because that's your best chance in the matchup. And Christian might have had a chance to go off, but decided not to, because there was more time and there's very little disruption that Matt Nass can offer in the main deck.
Big attacks now for Matthew Nass.
Yeah, next turn this is lethal damage, so Christian Baker has to go off this turn.
So Pyromaster Ascension here for Christian Baker.
Oh.
And this, again, is a little bit of a blast from the past. We moved away from Pyromancer Ascension with the new Gifts Ungiven flavor of Storm list, but they seem to be playing it again. Here's Pyretic Ritual.
The Pyromaster side of things comes when you have the 2 counters. Then you go from Pyromancer to the Pyromaster.
To Pyromaster, that's right. Yeah, that's when you ascend to the upper echelons of the Jedi Council. And it's not a very difficult not a very difficult feat to achieve when your graveyard is as stocked as Baker's is.
Is that when the 2 counters come on? That's when you have the higher ground, right?
That's when, yeah. And from there, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness.
If you're going for a certain reference, we just have to go all the way.
Would you like to know a very deep secret about me? Don't tell anyone. There's no one else listening to this. I'm just going to tell you, Eduardo.
Yes, you and your closest 10,000 friends.
I actually cried watching Revenge of the Sith.
That's fair.
Little 16-year-old, 17-year-old Riley actually cried watching that film. Man, it got to me. It really just tore my heartstrings to bits. Here's the Serum Visions now for Christian Baker. I maintain it remains the best. maintain it is the best film in the Star Wars. It is the best in the Star Wars series.
My brother fell asleep in the cinema, but to each their own.
Yeah, to each their own. Exactly. Some people have taste, some people don't.
Yeah,
here's Past in Flames. Look at this. How's this for a Yorkmoss wheel? Pick up my entire graveyard and be able to cast it all over and over again, and that's enough for Matt Nass. He's going to pack it up. And that means that these guys on the left are on the board. Baker finally picking up a win for the English Baker-Dambrose combination there, these three, the team. But Dama de Rosa, Nass and Pardee at the moment have a slight advantage, having picked up 2 games.
Yeah, and yeah, the reason we kind of went for some pop cultural references there, if Baker was going to go off, it was going to be in a spectacular fashion that kind of showcased itself here.
Faithless Looting is the first play here for Pardee, and as you mentioned, Gemstone Caverns here for Dambrose, but nothing doing with the mana itself. The turn 1 Thalia, the turn 1 Chalice can be huge, but it's actually going to be Pardee that's dumping permanents into play a lot earlier than expected here.
I'm kind of interested to see what Nick kept as a hand, and it might be that Nick mulligans because there were no turn 2 plays.
There's a Displacer on turn 2. Well, a turn 2 3/3 isn't quite as good as a turn 2 4/4, but, at the moment.
Yeah, these cards get a lot less value when you're not, with Eldrazi Temple. I think I saw the outlook of a very interesting card in Nick's hand, and that Eldrazi Displacer being off the board is going to be a real problem. I think because Nick is going to demand Sam to worship.
Oh, yeah.
I believe I saw the worship in hand.
Seems pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it was printed in, I believe, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So unless you have the Urza Saga or Amonkhet version, like the white border on that card is pretty distinctive. So
yep. Yep, pretty easy to see. Here's a big attack now for Sam Pardee, getting across for 8, including an attack in the air with that freshly reanimated Flamewake Phoenix here. Back to Dambrose. What can he do to stem the bleeding? He's under a lot of pressure here.
Well, I mean, there's only really one line. I don't think Dambrose can put enough pressure. So, yeah, Simian Spirit Guide into Worship.
Okay.
Deciding to use the Guide as a way to win a life point.
Yeah, wow. He effectively just used the Simian Spirit Guide as a card that he discarded to gain a life there.
It might actually be in the best line, honestly.
Do you think so?
Potentially. If Sam reanimated another Flamewake Phoenix, this would be exactly 10. So I think like those small edges, like just gaining a life is more than enough. Like, you never know. Like, imagine if Nick goes to 1 from another Flamewake Phoenix going in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Which could have very well happened here.
Yeah, that's very true.
Or Bloodghast with haste.
Yep.
By not losing a life, a Bloodghast or a Flamewake Phoenix aren't lethal. So I really like that heads-up play by Nick. Grim Lavamancer, though, means that the class of creatures you need in play is going to be very, how shall we say?
Specific.
Yeah.
Very particular, yes.
And it's not there.
Doesn't look like Dambrose can find what he needs. Even with that Worship in play, of course, with no creatures, there's nothing that... it actually doesn't. It's just a blank piece of cardboard there. Well, it's got flavor text, I guess. That's the most relevant piece of the puzzle when you've got no creatures. And Dambrose takes it on the chin, goes down 2-0. Straight sets victory to Sam Pardee. So we move back now over to one of the other tables. Paulo Vita, Dama de Rosa, and Eric English. Let's see if English can avenge his Game 1 loss here to Dama de Rosa and his Army of Spirits. Looks like Thalia, the Guardian of Thraben, has come in out of the board as well.
Yep. Paulo have access to 2 copies of that card. Works well with Collected Company. One of the issues with the Collected Company decks is that a lot of the times in the post-board games, you want access to some spells. And then you have an issue where your spell density is too high, so one of your biggest payoff cards for playing green in Collected Company gets less value. So what you do is you try to have your sideboard with some spell-like effect creatures, such as Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, coming in. Mm-hmm. So if you go for Collected Company, you get like a few more hits.
Maul and Haunt, the land drop here for Dama de Rosa. No creatures to use with it, but it is secretly one of the best cards in the entire deck here, Eduardo.
Moreland Hunt, yeah. I mean, that was a limited All-Star too at the time.
I mean, it's still playing Constructed. It was played in Blue-White Delver back in the day.
Yeah, that deck was absurd.
It was so good.
I mean, that you could make... I remember a turn from that stand here where there were like 5 spells played on turn 1 between both players.
Yeah, ridiculous. In the day of Ponder, a Mental Misstep.
It was
and all
like
that sort of stuff.
Delver of Secrets, Gut Shot, Mental Misstep, Mental Misstep,
so
Niall Spellbomb. It was ludicrous.
So
secrets.
good. As Garfield intended. Here's a Terrarian. Looks like it's going to cost 2, of course, or an extra 1, thanks to the thanks to the Thalia there. And English hitting his land drops, no worries there, but hasn't got too much business on the battlefield as Dama de Rosa cracks in for another 3. And he's got not too much else going on. Now, typically in this position, we'd go 4 mana, Collected Company inbound, but it's not so this time.
With the Thalia Guardian of Thraben, you can't really collect a company here. But then again, you still have access to Spell Queller, probably the card that Paolo's representing here.
Here's 5 mana now for English, and it's going to be KCI, thanks to, once again.
This is Spell Queller check time.
Oh, no. Oh, no. Even though he paid 5 for it. That is the biggest beating, isn't it? That's the biggest beating, having to pay 5 mana for your 4-drop and still getting it quelled.
Spell Queller might be one of my at least top 10 favorite cards in Magic's history.
Of all time.
Yeah.
That's a huge call.
It's just so good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, when it's in Modern, like, there's a lot of decks that just don't have an efficient way to deal with it, so it's so powerful. But then again, Eric English probably boarding in the 4 copies of Galvanic Blast, so Spell Queller postboard can be a liability, turning Clark Klein Ironworks into a 2-drop. 1 mana for Galvanic Blast, 1 mana for the Thalia. It is worth noting, you still need that 1 mana. If you kill Spell Queller and have no mana available afterwards, then you can't play the Clark Klein
Ironworks. You can't cast it, yeah, and it just stays exiled. Yeah,
so here representing another Spell Queller or Collected Company. And Eric English is actually in a lot of trouble here.
And this is the reason why. This is the reason why Spell Queller is, at such a premium against a card, for example, like Logic Knot or even Cryptic Command. It attacks. It attacks for 2.
Yeah, you can get it off Collected Company. The fact that you can pass the turn, put a threat, and still, beat down while disrupting, that's a really powerful tool.
That's what we've been talking about. It's a nightmare matchup here for KCI. Not specifically Spirits, but any list that is able to apply pressure while still, meaningfully disrupting the game plan is always going to be a difficult bar to cross here.
Right. A lot of the Clark Klein Ironworks decks have set themselves up to beat humans because it is the premier deck. So a lot of Pirate Spellbomb, Engineered Explosives in different ways to deal with Meddling Mage and Kitesail Freebooter. The difference with the Spirit deck is you're forced to tap out. With these human decks, you can focus all your energy on just drawing cards and getting to your answers. With Spell Queller, you first have to cast a spell, wait until it gets countered, and then on top of that get an answer. But the fact that your mana got taken while you're getting pressure applied, really big difference.
Yeah, it's the classic tempo. It's the classic tempo game where you trade an early advantage that you hope to never really let your opponent get back into, or get back on top of.
Yeah, so
Buried Ruin now, getting back a Chromatic Star.
That isn't the power play we were hoping for.
And a Mind Stone as well. Yes, big fuss was made about this archaeological dig site. They've gone out there and just dug up a small glass star there. But, needs must. Let's move back to Dama de Rosa now, who did stone cold nothing with his turn just then. 5 mana remained untapped.
If there was a Collected Company, we would have seen that. But a Spell Queller we would not have, simply because Paolo is going to be able to deal lethal damage in 2 turns, and Spell Queller doesn't change the clock. So here, unless you top deck a Lord Effects, Phantom or Droxel Captain. So here you see Paolo just passing. Whether Paolo has access to an effect or not, Collected Company would have been the only effect that Paolo would have fired off. So if Paolo has a Spell Queller, it might have been from last turn.
Well, let's see what English can do here. He's going to naturalize his own Ichor Wellspring, essentially gaining full life and cycling away this 2-drop artifact there.
You build synergy where you can.
Yes, yeah. You scrabble in the dust trying to find whatever pieces you can pull together here.
I mean, it's like 1 green, gain 4, draw a card. It's not so bad. It's almost a playable draft common.
I guess so. Unfortunately, it cost him 2 here, thanks to the Thalia, which is... She's really been putting in work this time around, huh?
Yeah, it meant that Eric English was having a harder time cycling, trying to find more pressure. And here, yeah, I mean, if Paolo has Spell Queller, we're probably going to see it at end of turn, since the opportunity to kill your opponents is... Yeah, and I think that was it. Paolo was holding on to the Spell Queller. Now it changes the clock since Eric English is at 7, so that's why you see it coming down. For no value, it just means, well, it's getting for the ultimate value, really, for removing your opponent. All of the card advantage.
Destroy target opponent, basically, is what it says here. As we see an attack for Dama de Rosa, Eric English isn't going to have too much to say about this. You would think his deck is not overloaded with interactive options. However, a last gasp, a last-ditch effort to find something, sacrificing Terrarian here.
Yeah, you still have Terrarian, Mind Stone, Chromatic Star. We're looking for, Galvanic Blast. Alternatively, Nature's Claim gives you a chance to.
But again, highly constrained on mana here is Eric English, thanks to that Thalia, Guardian of Thraben.
I mean, yeah, Eric English needs an answer here, otherwise you would just die. So that's why you're seeing all these artifacts being sacrificed now. Eric would rather not have done so. It was really the news of the second Spell Queller that forced Eric into a position to sacrifice these artifacts that would have had more value with a Clark-Klein Ironworks, since there was a very high chance that Eric English would have been forced to combo through Thalia, Guardian of Thraben.
Cannot find the Galvanic Blast, and as a result, Polar Vita Damata Rosa cleans up the game, and indeed the match here. Matt Nass and Christian Baker ends up being a wash between those two blokes there. But well done indeed to the team on the right, and improving, of course, you can see there, to 11-1. That puts them right square, smack bang in the middle of the crosshairs for a top 4 finish here.
Yeah, 11-1. I mean, they essentially need to go, I guess, 1-1. Just one more win. And if there's a team that's able to go in with a draw, then they might actually they might have locked the top 4 with that match. It is possible.
It is possible. We'll see how things go, and of course we'll bring you across any new updates that come our way, my friends, before very much longer. Right now, however, we do have to go to a break. We've got Time Walk Magic lined up after that, and you're not going to want to miss the action we've got planned for you after this break. So stick around, my friends. We'll be back after this. Gentlemen, for here at GP Detroit. My name's Riley Knight, joined by the Platinum Pro, my good friend Eduardo Sajulek out of Canada. We have Time Walk Magic lined up for you. We're going to get our way right here, right now. Let's get to it and see what happened on our back tables here during round number 12 of GP Detroit. Of course, the format Team Unified Modern. That means that effectively, for those of you who don't necessarily know what's going on here, as soon as one deck amongst the three players has a certain copy of a card, even if it's just one copy, Eduardo, no other decks can play. This means that we've seen them homogenize around Ancient Stirrings in one slot, Noble Hierarch in the other one, and then finally the sort of the wild card, the Joker. And in this case, it looks like Jack Keefer is playing white-blue control. Might even be Jeska. I think it's white-blue, however.
Yeah. Oh, man. Yeah, I love the choice of Venice, one of my favorite basic lands. But anyways, speaking about how this matchup goes, the fact is the blue-white control deck has a lot of exile removal, have to exile, 4 copies of Terminus. And that's a drawback for these Hardened Scales decks that rely essentially on their creatures dying or being sacrificed. Ravager is going to be actually pretty important against the card Path to Exile, but Terminus is so powerful against Tyler at essentially any point in the game that, and with the addition of 4 Field of Ruin, it means that an Inkmoth Nexus or a Blinkmoth Nexus isn't really going to push in for damage very easily. So I would say that the blue-white control X should be quite favored in this matchup as a result.
And it's in the hands of one of the sharpest minds in the room. Jack Keefer has done nothing but impress the pro community after his entrance into competitive Magic. The Keefer clan from the Western United States are very, very well known throughout the Magic world as being very much the people to watch. Jack and Quinn Keefer in particular.
The 6th clan of Tarkir?
Sure. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I like that. And Mother Keefer can be the Khan on her throne, sending her sons out to do battle. I mean, like that.
They've been doing really well.
They've been doing incredibly well. I mean, we've seen them play at the Pro Tours with Hall of Famers. We've seen them put up very, very strong results. It was this young man on your screen who got all the way to the top 8 of a recent GP in Pittsburgh after taking an unfortunate loss. Walked our way with his head held high. Talked about it in the past, but I was very impressed by the way he carried himself there. A difficult loss to take it was, and he took it very well. But he's got his work cut out for him here, facing up against Tyler Markland with a deck that is very much the talk of the town, Eduardo. Hardened Scales, Hardened Steel has been something that has really turned some heads in Modern, and it looks like it's a deck that's going to stick around.
Yeah, I feel like the Hardened Scales deck has been a solid choice for this weekend just because of humans being so popular. It's a very board-centric deck that's difficult for humans to beat. You need flyers, and then you have the creature lands in front. So it's a really good choice in a field where you believe that most players will be on humans. I think Paolo, now that the Hardened Scales deck has kind of risen to the top, with the Bland Spirits choice is potentially going to have a little bit more of an edge, since I believe the Spirits deck has the tools to fight the Hardened Scale deck because of the evasions.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's an important point that you raised there, the fact that as a creature-focused, a board-centric deck, this new affinity list has a huge advantage against humans because the disruptive plan of the humans deck, playing things like Kitesail Freebooter and Thalia, for example, is much less reduced against a creature deck that can contest the humans on the battlefield.
Yeah, precisely. Here, Jack has access to Path to Exile and has kind of kept it in hand as a way to disrupt. I think here with Jack having a Supreme Verdict in hand, the right line in response to this Walking Ballista is Path to Exile the Hangerback Walker. Let Tyler do what Tyler wishes.
Yep.
It won't be relevant enough. And then you can lead. Let's see. You have Logic Knot, so you can counter the Walking Ballista if it would be too much damage. So we exile the Hangerback Walker. In response, Tyler is going to Steel Overseer, making it a 2/2, which gives you 2 Thopters with the Ravager at 2. I think, yeah, Jack is correct to Logic Knot, because otherwise you have that combo of Arcbound Ravager and Walking Ballista being able to deal lethal damage.
And Supreme Verdict is not very good against Hangerback Walker any way you slice it, especially when there's and even Path to Exile, a reduced impact card when there's an Arcbound Ravager, because all the artifact deck wants to do here is have the Hangerback Walker die, not be exiled. And so you know that Path to Exile isn't going to have its intended effect.
Yeah. I kind of would have liked Jack to play the Path to Exile here, since it gives... I mean, you can also take the damage here. I think Ivor is fine. since Tyler is probably not going to sacrifice the hangerback walker on his own, and it gives you more options. So Jack being patient. Actually, yeah, now that I think about it, I think Jack's line is correct. You might as well be patient. You're not going to take lethal damage. If your opponent does anything, you can path something else. So I kind of like this line. Yeah, definitely can't Logic Knot the Walking Ballista. Had Tyler played the island beforehand, then you would have been forced to kind of path plus Logic Knot, delving away the Flooded Strand and path. But as stood, since Tyler played the island after, which is a play people should do a little less, by the way, I would be overly cautious about not playing your lands in situations like this, because then you can get caught off.
Now look at this here. Tyler Markland is walking right into the trap that Kiefer has sprung for him here. He's just sacrificed a bunch of creatures. We sacrificed his Arcbound Worker there to get a bunch of extra Thopter tokens, but ultimately Kiefer's going to have the final say here with a Supreme Verdict cleaning up the board once and for all, and with Markland with 0 cards in hand, the advantage is well and truly on the Kiefer side of things here, although an Ancient Stirrings could change that.
It probably won't. Jack is very far ahead here. What I will say here is Tyler didn't really have a choice in that matter. Ingmoth Nexus gets beautifully answered by the Field of Ruin, by the way, but at least may prevent a Jace the Mind Sculptor from coming down this turn.
I mean, Kiefer can wait on killing the Inkmoth Nexus should he choose to. I mean,
you have Ghost Quarter, you're fine. Just jam Jace with Ghost Quarter up and really nothing can happen to you.
All right, well, let's see what Kiefer's going to do here. It looks like that may be the line he takes. Here is Jace the Mind Sculptor. Again, Ghost Quarter as a nice answer to opposing land-based threats, whether it's Tron, whether it's creature lands, whether it's anything whatsoever, really. Field of Ruin, Ghost Quarter gets it done. Here's a Brainstorm now.
Yeah, and now you can just float Terminus on top of the deck as you wish.
Yep.
Just fire it off as needed.
So we're going to see what? Field of Ruin and Terminus put back on top.
Probably Ghost Quarter here.
And just Ghost Quarter away that Inkmoth Nexus to just really essentially ram this point home. Markland is going to have to find something special, and you can see that just that sort of posture adopted by the control player when they know they put their cards down, put their hands on the other side of it, and they're just like, there's nothing you can do, my friend. There's nothing you can do. And look at this. Kiefer's so confident, doesn't even fire off that Ghost Quarter. I like that. He wants to continue to develop his mana. Maybe, even use a Field of Ruin to continue to get pluck basics out of his deck. Here's a Brainstorm. I've never seen someone draw the cards from a Brainstorm in a weirder configuration, but hey, you know what? Full power to him. He's 9-2 at a GP. I'm not going to question his methodology here. It's not my place.
That's fair. I just think Jack at this point is just finding ways to lock the game. No need to Ghost Quarter the Ingmoth Nexus. Jace at 2, at 3, or doesn't really matter. You're able to Field of Ruin and cleanly shuffle away 2 cards you do not want to have.
Yep.
Which seems like those 2 Terminuses.
Terminus? I think it's Terminus.
Oh.
Yeah.
That is a very weird use of the weird English language.
The plural of it's not English, it's Latin. The plural of Nexus isn't Nexi. It's Nexus.
Nexus.
Yeah, no, it is. Do you know how I know that? Because Simon Gertzen, my other partner in crime when it comes to commentary, actually did Latin at school, so he knew all about it. He took me to Latin school, at least very briefly there. He told me all the tricks that you need to know. Here's the Field of Ruin now. And as we said, Kiefer going to shuffle away those cards he didn't like the look of, find himself an island. And this means he can double opt or V-click at the end of the turn here and start to get the ball rolling.
I kind of like you can Vendilion Clique here.
Yeah, I like it too.
Especially with Tyler's card in hand. It's worth noting, though, that technically, I mean, if it was end of turn, that's fine. It might have been in combat, but technically, once the Field of Ruin resolves, your opponent has priority. So it was probably done in combat to prevent Tyler from playing a spell in the second main phase.
So Markland with the hardened scales, but after this Jace activation, he has seen enough, and Kiefer's going to pick up game number 1 very convincingly there. Congratulations to the young pistol getting it done with one of the best decks in the format. We move now to Evan Nelson and John Rossum here. Looks like it's the Humans mirror match, and in game number 1. There are, plenty of ways to pull yourself ahead, and one of those ways is having Ether Vials to leverage cards at instant speed. Horizon Canopy for Rossum immediately cycled away.
Let's see there's free in the graveyard.
Oh, look at that. But it's enough. Enough is enough for him as well with Evan Nelson behind on life total. That's going to wrap things up there as well. So we move to game number 2 between these two players with the magic of video editing, ladies and gentlemen, and it's Champion of the Parish facing off against an unusual one, Avacyn's Pilgrim.
Yeah, Avacyn, Avacyn Pilgrim some List of Humans play just to have that critical mass of Noble Hierarch effects. There's just the one, just the 5th one. But it's very useful if post-sideboard you have cards that require white mana that may be otherwise difficult to get because you're playing Cavern of Souls and Unclaimed Territory. In this case, Galactique supported by Avacyn's Pilgrim.
There's another Mana Dork, of course. You're not really going to play Llanowar Elves in your Humans list. And so if you're looking for, the fifth copy of Noble Hierarch, then Avacyn's Pilgrim is going to be one way to get that done. But the Champion of the Parish is just getting in for one. We don't see that too often either.
Yeah, and that's a pretty bad situation for Evan. But Evan has access to Mantis Rider. And Mantis Rider, one of the more important cards in the Human's Mirror. It allows you, evasion is so key. Just being able to attack. Oh, wow.
Oh, here's a Thalia of a different color here.
Yeah, that
Thalia Heretic Cathar.
Thalia, Guardian of Thraben, is one of the worst cards in the matchup. It's still good at 2/1 first strike, similar to an Elvish Archer.
Yep.
Honestly, though, Thalia Heretic Cathar is one of the best cards. Your haste creatures have less of an effect. You can't really block easily. Almost all of your lands come into play tapped. Yeah, just
just like that. So not only, check this out, not only is Evan Nelson not going to be able to cast his Mantis Rider here, he's also not going to be able to attack with it next turn.
But I like this image, probably being Thalia Heretic Cathar.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad, actually. Evan Nelson's like, oh, wow, that's a pretty good card. Yes, please, and a thank you. I'll take that.
So now, yeah.
And, of course, it enters the battlefield tapped. Oh, dear me. Back over to John Rossum now.
John Rossum with the key in hand, the key card that nobody could find in the venue, Whirler Rogue.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we saw a couple of people busting open Planeswalker decks in order to find, or Versus decks to find it.
Yeah.
Dual decks, excuse me, to find it.
I still feel like Riders of Gavony is really the card you want. Probably Whirler Rogue better against the Hardened Scales decks, but Riders of Gavony is so powerful in the Human's Mirror that it's worth it in my view. Here, the Reflector Mage on Phantasmal Image is going to be really powerful.
Yeah, that's brutal.
No, cancel that order.
Okay, well, I think that it seems pretty clear to me that that's the play. Has he got something better to do, perhaps, here, John Rossum?
I'm trying to look. This is Dismember, but I'd like to keep that for something else.
Which member?
That member.
That member, okay, sure.
Or Dismember.
Oh, Dismember, right, yeah. But no, I think it's going to be the old straight-up Ravi Tubes mode on the Reflector Mage here.
Necrotal, please respect for the forefathers.
Sorry, respect the elders. yeah, kids these days, no respect with their Snapchat.
Necrotal is even modern legal.
Yeah, it is too.
Yeah, 9th edition.
Yeah, so what's the original Necrotal? Like, can we go back even further?
No, it's actually Necrotal.
No, it is actually Necrotal. Okay. All right, Champion of the Parish now, the follow-up here for Rossum as he plays his 3rd Ancient Ziggurat. Back to Nelson now.
Yeah, Reflector Mage is very powerful against Image in the mirror match. Again, Reflector Mage is also just one of the most powerful cards in the Human's Mirror. The tempo from it and the board presence is, this is so tragic.
It's just so awful, isn't it? It's just terrible playing.
Thalia Heretic Cathar, what a good choice by John Rossum.
Yes.
If you think you're going to face Hardened Scales and Humans, it's an amazing card.
Yeah, it just puts you a turn ahead of the opponent when it comes to them lining up blocks, and especially with hasty boys like Mantis Rider, and a Dismember as well to just completely clear a path. And now Rossum can get in for a bunch of damage here. Cavern of Souls going to be the play for him. And is this going to be, look at this.
He actually
Whirler Rogue as well.
He actually cut a Kitesail Freebooter for it, so he understood that he would face a lot of human mirrors, and that's why you see 2 copies of Thalia Heretic Cathar. I think John configured his deck to just be much better in these mirror matches.
Yeah, I agree, and really good in this format as well, when we know that there is going to be an abundance of humans decks. It's going to be close to a third of the field because of the way that Unified Modern works.
Cut a Freebooter and a Meddling Mage for them.
I like it. I like that a lot. Back to Nelson now. Let's see if he can begin to untangle this this sticky web that John Rossum has woven here. Mantis Rider comes in for 3. That's a near free attack there.
I don't know if this is a web as much of as a wrestling chokehold.
Sure. Well, hello.
There we get value.
Yeah. Yep. Get rid of this Thopter here as we.
This isn't quite the Electrolyze from yesterday.
Not quite as good. No, it's but the Vithian Renegade's still getting it done against at least one of those artifacts there.
Yeah, it means Whirler Rogue's ability that isn't there, but, you know.
Well, I love that Rossum activated in response. It's good. That's very, very high-level play from him there. I love to see that sort of stuff. Here's another Reflector Mage. Let's get this Manus Rider out of here. And again, an unimpeded attack on the table now for John Rossum as he sends in the clowns. And I tell you what, we've seen enough. Don't even need to see the handshake at the end of that one as Rossum cleans it up and wins 2 games to 0. Very tidy win for him. Let's move back now to Jack Keefer and Tyler Markland. It is Hardened Scales versus White Blue Control. And he's a Walking Ballista on 4. Pithing Needle in addition to a Hardened Scales and an animation module hanging out there. Looks like Markland has put together a few more pieces of this particular puzzle here.
Yeah, and Walking Ballista and animation module, a really nice combo. Every time you add a counter here with Hardened Scales, it's 2, and you can make a servo. So essentially, getting a lot of value. And Jack here in a little bit of trouble from this Walking Ballista, although Condemn, yeah, just point to it.
Yes. Yep. Get that out of here, he says. Blow a big hole in your head there. And Condemn is going to give Markland an option here. It looks like he's going to put a counter, or 2 counters, I should say, on the Ballista, and then punish Keefer at least a little bit. We'll see if he wants it to go to the graveyard or into his library. And he's going to get a servo out of the deal as well, thanks to the animation module.
Fairly certain we're going to see Tyler deal 6 damage to Jack here.
Just let the Ballista die?
Oh, sure. I mean, you don't really care about the life gain.
Don't want to draw it again?
When?
Well, it's in the library. He could draw it again.
Right, but what are you? I would rather. I mean, the 6/6 Ballista is there right now, so you don't need to draw it again. It's as good as it gets.
All right. Here's a sensor. Cycled away for Keefer now, who did win game number 1, as we saw, after some very, very impressive maneuvering from him. EE in hand.
If that needle is not naming engineered explosives, it's going to be pretty powerful, destroying free permanents in play.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
But there's no other answer. This servo is the only threat, but it is a threat.
Looks like the Pithing Needle, well, is it naming engineered explosives? No, it's not. Okay, so a straight up 3 for 1 there. Very nice stuff from Jack Keefer as he continues to keep himself in this one.
Oh, is Jack at 13? We had the life totals wrong? Oh, yeah. Jack is very ahead now.
Yes, no, he was... He
at 5, it was close, but at 13...
At 13, yes, he's actually in much better shape there. Slight error with the recording of the life totals there. There is Arcbound Ravager, and much less powerful without that Hardened Scales here. But Keefer, I think is it just on double lands here? Yeah, Field of Ruin and another land in hand.
I think with John Rossum won the match, right, when we looked at it. So isn't John Rossum up 2 as well?
That was my understanding as well.
So it seems like the Keefer Rossum Keen team is pretty far ahead then.
Yes, if Keefer can win this one, then we may see a match result get done here. Here is Trinket Mage now for Markland. Let's see what he wants to go and get.
That was such a sweet card when it got printed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, Trinket Mage into Engineered Explosives was a really key.
Yeah, I bet.
It was in Control decks, though. It's so much sweeter in Control decks. Here, it's okay.
It's getting a Hangerback Walker, which is still a nice one.
Yeah, I like that inclusion. I mean, I'm all about value.
All about value.
Right.
All about value.
And Hangerback Walker and Trinket Mage, it's infinite value.
So Hangerback Walker now for 1. And, of course, once again, would have been much, much better with a Hardened Scales on the battlefield. I mean, the deck is still good without Hardened Scales, but with Hardened Scales, it's just bonkers.
Yeah.
It's just bonkers, dude. Oh, my goodness.
Here, it would have been a lot of damage. The Hangerback Walker would have had 2 counters, and then each Thopter would have been plus 2 damage, potentially. Had Tyler gone, oh, Jack has nothing in hand. But there's no way for Tyler to know.
Another land off the top here for Keefer. The Celestial Colonnade comes down. That's rough from him.
Yeah, this board really needed a Terminus. It's getting out of hand. It came from Servo to Ravager to Trinket Mage into Hangerback Walker. It's developed really quickly.
Little army in a can here for Markland. It's kind of popped up out of nowhere like a jack-in-the-box, and all of a sudden, Keefer has to find something. Next turn, he can block with that Colonnade, but that's not a route to victory. He's on 9.
I mean, Tyler may consider going for lethal. Let me see if Tyler can go for lethal. It depends on the card drawn. Right now we have 5, 6 at least. You can sacrifice the Walker. Let's see here.
So Steel Overseer, the play now for Markland.
Yeah, the Ravager doesn't get bonus damage. I guess the Walker going to 2 would mean that the Hangerback Walker is plus 3 damage. So you have Overseer and Hangerback going to 3 is 4. And then you have 5 on the board. So Tyler's considering, do I go for lethal damage here before Jack could draw something? If Jack has nothing. If Jack has a single effect, then you can add the counters to the servo So it's not so bad. I think Tyler could go for it, but you do lose access to the Steel Overseer and Hangerback Walker and may leave Jack a chance to go Disruption plus top decking into a Supreme Verdict or Terminus.
Now we know that Kiefer is just sitting on a single land in hand. That's the information that we have.
And I like just making the Walker 2/2 since you're almost certainly doing that. And it seems like Tyler is going for lethal here. Although I would have preferred Tyler to attack first just to kind of clear a Cryptic Command. You know, just Cryptic Command check. You attack first and then you can sacrifice all this.
So an attack for lethal here, and Keith has to pack up his cards just like that. So Markland managed to thread that particular need. Oh, no. Did you see that Kiefer looked at the top cards of his library?
What was it?
He never looked. You never look. It doesn't matter what it was. You just never look.
Okay. I don't know what it is. So it is lost to the E for a video recording.
I didn't see either, but just never look. Hashtag never look. It's like when you mulligan, you know?
Yeah.
You never look. Let's have a look at Patrick Tierney and Zachary Keane here. Both of these players at one apiece, one game apiece so far.
And here the traditional Celestial Colonnade versus Storm matchup.
Oh, yeah. And let's check.
Or apology. Yeah, it is Celestial. It's Jeskai versus Storm. Yeah.
And Pieces of the Puzzle is a pretty typical post-board inclusion for the Storm decks because it's a card advantage engine and card selection engine that doesn't rely on the graveyard.
Right, and it's meant to fight the graveyard hate that usually comes in from these control decks, and it's a 2-for-1, so it does a lot of different things.
Yeah, it's like a juiced-up divination in this list that is so overwhelmingly populated with instants and sorceries.
Yeah.
It's like a tiny little dig through time.
Ooh.
Ooh, flashbacks.
Ooh. Ooh. People think that Khansa Tarkir's most important inclusion to Modern were fetch lands.
Yeah.
They may not have been around during that brief period with Treasure Cruise and Dig Through Time.
Grandpa Eduardo, sit us down and tell us a tale of the Khans of Tarkir block.
Well, I did. I already told you about the Six Clan.
Oh, yeah, that's true. The Kiefer clan. Yeah. The Abzan, the Jeskai, the Sultai, the Mardu, and the Kiefers. I love that. Oh, dear. R&D Creative. Let's make it happen, huh? So Kiefer now. Oh, sorry, Keen now. Kiefer's teammate Keen.
Yeah,
with a Metamorphose. Not too much else going on in this turn, however.
Yeah, I think Keen was looking to see if you would draw an untapped land to go for a Ritual plus Empty the Wardens, and that would have been a lot of pressure on the board. But the land that was drawn was Spire Bluff Canal, usually pretty good, but yeah. And, I mean, you have to kind of play the Spire Bluff Canal in the list anyways, but it can be a drawback in some situations.
Yeah, can be a little bit of a liability, as we see here, coming to play tapped. Lightning Bolt in the bin thanks to the search for Azcanta. Patrick Tierney now with a Serum Visions.
Yeah, and Patrick Tierney, I believe, with GP top 8 with Fruit of Breach Jeskai. Not running Fruit of Breach anymore, but yeah, a very adept Jeskai player. Teferi Hero of Dominaria kind of is better than Fruit of Breach.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. A smidge. It's
Tierney
a one-card Emrakul.
Mana Leak on top in addition to another card I didn't get a good look at, but you see that the hand of Zachary Keane seems pretty good here. He's got a lot of options. Metamorpho is going to kick things off, and it might just be a big Empty the Warrens that he goes for here. He's got Baral and Old Mate Goblin Electromancer there.
If the plan was to go for Empty the Warrens, I think I would have preferred seeing an Electromancer or Baral first. I feel like Zachary could have gone for a line involving Electromancer plus a Metamorphose and a Ritual into Empty. But then again, Patrick doesn't have a counterspell, and you believe that Patrick would most likely have one. But with Search for Azcanta, as the game goes on, Patrick will have that counter magic. Yeah. So it might have been the best chance to go here.
He needs to start to pull something together here.
Yeah, and Empty the Warrens gains less value over time since your opponent has more chances to draw into a Sweeper or a Detention Sphere like Patrick has.
Another Lightning Bolt. Keen has brought in a Braid.
Yeah, I think I've seen that Huey do that.
Okay.
I'm not the biggest fan.
No, it seems puzzling. I mean, it kills a Snapcaster Mage, right?
Sometimes an Engineered Explosives, but I don't know. A Braid is a good card in the Storm sideboard. I think a Braid is a good card in the Storm sideboard.
Oh, for sure, but just against Jeskai, it confuses me. I mean, EE is obviously a huge threat, but a smart Jeskai player will make sure they can play and activate it.
Yeah. I'm a bit surprised, actually, by that inclusion in a post-board game.
So I'd love to see, though.
Merchant Scroll, though.
Scroll.
That I'm a much bigger fan
Oh,
of.
I love that. That is a great piece of technology. Search your library for an instant. Put it into your hand.
I believe
Blue
it has
instant,
the
right?
blue
Blue
instant,
instant, yeah.
right? So it gets a lot. I mean, you would see it have a lot more play if it was any instant.
It's just another copy. Essentially, it's just another copy of Gifts Ungiven here, as we see Lightning Helix in response to the Merchant Scroll, and in response to that, a Manamorphose. Looks like Keen might look to find some interaction here.
Yeah, Merchant Scroll allows you to double up on cards like Echoing Truth, Substantiate, cards that have marginal value, but sometimes you want to have access to, and I believe that's
Gifts Ungiven.
the spellbook version.
Yep, the J Signature spellbook version of Gifts Ungiven.
I mean, there was Surgical, but there was a moment where everybody kind of wanted to design their own spellbook.
Yeah,
when
that was
on Twitter. Everybody was like, "What 8 spells would best represent you?"
Yep. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed a very diverse week of Twitter comment chains there as everyone had their little. It was fun for the person doing it, but I mean no one else was interested really.
Just replying with your own, but that's fine. I think that's one of the cool parts of Magic is what cards would actually represent you. I mean,
thanks for asking. I've actually prepared a list here that I can go through right now.
I only have one because it actually has my face on it.
What?
Yeah, Malphis Doorbuster has a slight resemblance.
Oh right, it's like Tomb Robber. People say Tomb Robber looks like me, which is not true. I deny all charges.
Which card?
The Tomb Robber, the 3-mana 1/1. You discard a card and it explores. The little boy's got a little cutlass and a moustache.
What do you disagree with, the art or the card
like
text?
Both. I mean, I don't I don't like attacking, so Menace is useless. I don't like discarding cards. I don't tend to play black very often.
It's not about the card representing you. It's about the card having the art that resembles.
Yeah, well, I disagree with that as well. I don't like it.
Yeah, the Surgical on Pieces of the Puzzle is just trying to get rid of card advantage sources.
Bit of a cruel twist of fate there. Pieces of the Puzzle brought into Combat Graveyard Hate, ends up being the one hit by it. But Tierney now, bunch of lands in play. He's seen the hand of Keen, which means that we've got a lot of information to work with here. Grape Shot, Empty the Warrens in hand, in addition to an Abrade, which is doing nothing. Remand, which is also not doing too much. Here's a Gifts Ungiven. That's going to eat a negate. Tierney is well equipped to deal with what his opponent is up to. Fresh Baral off the top now.
And you can just see the power of Iskandar the Sunken Ruin in this game. Patrick was down on cards by a ton of cards. And the ability to disrupt Zachary's plays plus keep surging cards means that Patrick has been able to keep parity and will pull ahead as the game goes on. This is why you see Zachary starting to storm off. He needs to make something happen. And I feel like, earlier on the Empty the Warrens was possible and might have been nice. But, I can understand it being a difficult choice because you just don't have information on your opponent's hand.
So Zachary Keen massaging those temples here. And Tierney so far has come up trumps with the answers that he needs for what Keen has been up to. But now, a moment for Keen to pause. It might just be, he might be on the empty plan here as a Pyretic Ritual ups the storm count once again. And there's an empty with the storm count. I think that's going to be the 4th spell cast this turn.
Yeah, and you have access to Remand, so...
I'll remand your own, remand the original copy. What do you think of that?
It's actually... You normally want to do it on your...
He's going to do it. Yep. So this means, my friends, that the original copy of Empty the Warrens will not resolve, but all of the Storm copies will. So there'll still be a bunch of goblins, but it means that Keen will not only have the original card back in his hand, he'll also draw a freshie off of the Remand.
Even another one because of Baral's ability.
Oh, wow, yeah, draw discard. That's nice, actually. He's found an extra copy of Empty the Warrens here in addition to a Misty Rainforest.
I really like Zachary's play in this one.
Finally. Well, that's why you bring it in, right? You bring it in so you can discard it to Baral.
Oh, my. That argument.
That's Celestial Purge found from on the search for Azcanta. And 6 goblins now for Tierney to overcome. Not a hugely overwhelming force here.
It's good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, if that was all Zachary could do, then it wouldn't. But with access to another Empty the Warrens in hand, yeah, no attacks. This was this turn.
Just played it this turn, my friend. Don't get too excited. Back to Tierney now.
Attention Sphere.
Any kind of sweep is going to be a good job, but a Supreme Verdict as well as Attention Sphere there. So plenty of ways to take out the trash here as Keen removes all of the creatures from the battlefield.
That goblin is just around
Yep.
for some reason.
I don't think it's just a spectator. Yep, just sticking around.
It's like-
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I didn't read the abolishment edict. Even the clouds were too thick.
It's all right. We continue with 4 goblins.
Another empty the Warrens here. Apparently, the first one didn't empty the Warrens. It was partially empty the Warrens.
We can empty more Warrens.
Yeah, oh, it's different. Oh, excuse me, it's different set of Warrens.
Oh, but all of the Warrens are being emptied.
Now there are no more Warrens to empty. The Warrens have been filled up. You know, the bulldozer has come and just dumped a load of sand inside them, and all of a sudden, it's good that they emptied them first. That's my point. I'm glad that there was, you know, no innocent goblin lives were lost with unemptied Warrens being filled. But a detention sphere, and yeah, Keen knows what's up. He knows he can smell it on the breeze. Here's a D sphere, going to take care of that goblin token and indeed all the rest of them.
Yeah, and it looks like this match is going to come down to the game between Jack Kiefer and Tyler Markland.
Looks like Tierney may be able to wrap this one up. Easy game, easy life here as Celestial Colonnade begins its onslaught and search for his goal. Oh no, the big whiff.
I think it's acceptable since, you know, the others were pretty good.
Yep, at this time it's okay as we see 5 more mana activating Celestial Colonnade. Here's a Lightning Helix, and that's going to be enough here for Patrick Tierney to take out the game. And so it all comes down to Tyler Markland and Jack Kiefer, although we are drawing very close to the end of the round, so we're going to have to speed this one up. No, we're actually going to have to bring it back to the booth, my friends. Cut this one short. As soon as I get a result, I'll be able to tell you who won that match. I'm not entirely sure right now, but in any case, a very tight and hard-fought contest between those players there. Again, we're looking to figure out exactly how that match ended up going,
Yeah.
but it was Tierney. It was Tierney, the
Tierney's
Tierney team
then,
won
yeah.
that ended up winning there. So congratulations to them. They move on. They continue their onslaught here at GP Detroit, but we're going to have to make a hurried exit from the booth here because the next round is upon us. Players are seated behind us. You can probably see that. And in the feature match area, players are getting ready as well. Stick with us, my friends. After this break, we'll be back with more Magic live from GP Detroit. Don't go anywhere.
Play Standard each week to win special Standard Showdown prize boosters. Core Set 2019 Standard Showdown events are being held near you. Find a location to play at magic.wizards.com/Standard Showdown. Looking for a place to hang out and play Magic? Head to your local game store this and every Friday to play Friday Night Magic events. Get more info at magic.wizards.com/FNM.